We're recording this on a Tuesday. KhaDarel Hodge goes on injured reserve with a hamstring. He injured it during warmups on Sunday. It really left the Browns a little short-handed, although, again, as usual, you don't really notice it with this team because they don't play a lot of wide receivers. Again, I think we're still at a point where they have yet to run a single set this season with more than 3 wideouts on the field. So at the beginning of the year, it would have been crazy to think, oh, KhaDarel Hodge goes on IR. That's a topic to discuss. But it really is because he's been playing a lot of snaps. They obviously feel that he's an important piece to this. So let's look at that third receiver situation because the Browns have some options. And let's start with the guy that kind of took over that role on Sunday, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Is he a long-term fix there? Long-term, whether it's 3 games or 4, however long KhaDarel Hodge is out. Is he the fix there? Is it as easy as just plugging him in, or do we think he still needs some time?
Well, oddly enough, I was surprised to see that he actually played 44% of the snaps in that game. And that was more than I would have expected him to play. But I guess they basically just plugged him in. And it seems like they are doing a little bit more of that. Like they have gravitated towards a little bit more 3 wides than what we would have expected, I think, from a Kevin Stefanski offense. They were not in 3 wides that much in Minnesota last year. So I think we're seeing him put some of his own stamp on the offense. And I tried to get him talking about that a little bit last week where, he's gotten into this thing where he says, hey, it's not fair to label this offense after 3 games. Let's not just call this a run heavy offense. So I think as it evolves and as they go along, we will continue to see more multiple different formations and plenty of 3 wides. And therefore, I do think that a guy like Donovan Peoples-Jones, it's an opportunity for him to step in there and see what he can do. It's also a chance for a Rashard Higgins to maybe get on the field. So I know you wanted to get into Donovan a little bit. I'll let Ellis take that over a bit. But, I think this opens up the door for a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time figuring this out. And this might just be one of those scenarios where these 2 receivers, Donovan Peoples-Jones and Rashard Higgins, are going to get a chance to prove themselves, because what we do know here is Kevin Stefanski really liked KhaDarel Hodge, and there's a few reasons for that. First, he's clearly been improving. We saw that towards the end of last year, his touchdown in week 17, I remember, versus the Bengals. It's just one of those plays that, a professional receiver makes, and it showed off his ability to stretch the field. Then he had a similar one like that in training camp, and he kept making plays that made sense why Kevin Stefanski would like him. Much like his tight ends, and I would assume through the draft, their linebackers, they want receivers that, shockingly, can do it all. You need to be able to be where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. You need to be able to stretch the field and take a team deep, and you need to be dedicated to run blocking. And Rashard Higgins is probably 2 of those 3 or 4 things that I mentioned, and what he isn't is a receiver that stretches the field. Now, that doesn't mean Stefanski won't give him a shot, or he's in some sort of, this isn't a doghouse situation again. I don't think Stefanski gravitates towards receivers of Higgins' specific skill set.
And I'm glad you brought up that blocking aspect of it, because obviously that's been a big part of KhaDarel Hodge's story. And I was curious, I just looked it up while you were talking. He actually had a pretty good run block grade from PFF, a 78.9. He had the hold, which I actually just saw because I'm working through rewatching the game. But he did also have, in an early Nick Chubb run, he had a really good block, and kind of throughout the game there was some solid blocking there from Peoples-Jones, which is something you like to see out of a rookie, I think, who's considered kind of raw. Look, all the time, Football Insider folks ask, especially in the pregame Q&As, why is Rashard Higgins inactive? Why isn't Rashard Higgins playing? And I do think it comes down to a little bit of that skill set. I just think if you look at who they've had on the field, it's been Hodge, Matson getting reps at wide receiver, and it does just seem like they're looking for guys who bring a certain level of speed and athleticism and the ability to, run an end around and take a handoff, put some of that eye candy out there, because you have to be worried about a Donovan Peoples-Jones coming around with the football in his hands. So I think that's partially what has kept Higgins off the field right now.
Well, the other thing to consider with Rashard Higgins, and again, even though he might not have the speed or the skill set to do some of those things, there is one thing that Rashard does very well. And that is he can catch some touchdown passes for Baker Mayfield. And Baker needs some of that right now. He needs guys that can catch touchdown passes for him. So if they still have the chemistry that they used to have, and Rashard still has the nose for the end zone that he has, I think there will be a place for him. And I think that there will be reps for him. And the good thing about Rashard right now is that he has worked really hard. And, I asked Chad O'Shea last week, hey, he was inactive. Is he in the doghouse? And the answer was no, absolutely not. He's doing every single thing right.